What's up, guys? I'm Joe, and today I'm talking about the new Clutch album, Book of Bad Decisions. So Clutch are back. This is their 12th studio album, Book of Bad Decisions. And I gotta tell you, Clutch is just a band you can always expect to come out with a just solid rock record, which is something I think you need in the current landscape of rock music. Just someone reliable that isn't gonna throw a bunch of woes in their songs, or at least the ones you know I'm talking about. The band, especially in recent releases such as Earth Rocker and Psychic Warfare, always offer up a nice mix of straight-ahead rock, mixed with blues and mixed with funk. There's a southern tinge to some of the songs as well, and of course some sludgier stoner rock moments. This new album in particular really hones in on those blues and kind of funky elements. The title track, Book of Bad Decisions, has a nice slow burn to it. There are these fuzzy guitars that are riding out on top of this sort of psychedelic bass, all while the drums just give you this nice groove, this nice slow beat that just hold things together. Neil's lyrics on here, as well as throughout the course of the record, are quite reflective, looking back on the band's long history, some of the stories that they have in there, some of the bad decisions that have been made. And there's also a killer guitar solo on here that ends the track. How to Shake Hands, one of the singles that was released prior to the record, one of my favorites on here, a huge standout, just all around really fun song. This has Neil portraying a presidential candidate. There's some really fun moments on here, such as him talking about disclosing UFOs, or bringing live music into the White House, putting Jimi Hendrix on the $20 bill. Just a lot of great fun, a lot of good humor to it. Plus there is just some fiery guitar riffs that really pull this thing along. Another standout for me is the track Emily Dickinson, another slow burner that has just this great build to it that goes throughout the beginning of the song, through the verses, up into the chorus. Once you get into the chorus, you have these smoky piano keys that really add to it, really make things come together. And Neil offers some of the most catchy moments as far as the lyrics go in the chorus. It's just a really big moment, the way it sort of explodes there in that chorus, and it's quite memorable. Again, one of my favorite tracks on here. There are quite a few faster bluesy rockers, particularly the song Ghoul, Wrangler, which is one of my favorites on here. Something I really like about the band, they did it a lot with Psychic Warfare, is they create this sort of story that you could jump into with the songs, a lot of times portraying a sort of Western folklore type feel to the songs, which is pretty cool, pretty strange, but definitely enjoyable. The guitar absolutely rips on this song, with some of Neil's more shouted vocal lines, and probably the quickest track on here, Weird Times, is just pedal to the metal the entire time. Similar to Gimme the Keys, which is the opening track, the first single that came off the record. It's just full speed ahead the whole time, just a nice, straightforward, rocking moment. I was a little concerned, to be honest, when those first singles did come out. They certainly had a rougher sound to them as opposed to the last two releases. Those albums, Earth Rocker and Psychic Warfare, were pretty successful for the band. I know the fans really took to them. They play a lot of that material live still. And critically, Earth Rocker did really well. It was on a lot of those top rock lists for that year. So when those singles first came out, you could definitely tell that they were going for more of a garagey, less produced feel to the songs, as opposed to the more crisp production of the last two records. But it was a little too much. It was a little where you couldn't really hear the vocals, you couldn't really hear what was going on fully. I like the idea of them going in a different direction production-wise, and not really continuing in the same vein, but at the same time it just felt too underproduced for me, and I don't know whether I got used to it, or whether, they weren't quite finished yet, and now the album is. I don't really know, but it hasn't seemed to be a problem for me. I've been listening to it on CD, and digitally as well, and I'm just not seeing that same problem. I don't know, like I said, if they actually did finish producing it since those singles came out. I'm not really sure. But it definitely sounds better to me overall. Like I said, whether I got used to it or it is different. So with the production not being an issue and all these really solid rockers, some great moments on here, it's another really solid release from Clutch. Those funkier moments where they play around with the horn section are pretty cool. The song In Walks Barbarella, which is a later single, though I hadn't listened to it before the record was released. But it has those horns echoing the guitar lines on here, and again, it makes for another really fun track. Vision Quest is another good one as well. It has more of just a very rock and roll vibe to it. Pounding keys on here, which really add to that old-time rock element. And finally, you have the closer, Lorelei. Another standout for me on here, one of my favorites. Something I was really looking forward to, because the last record, Psychic Warfare, closed with the song Son of Virginia. If you haven't checked that song out, definitely do, because it was one of my favorite songs that year. It's become one of my favorite Clutch songs, just a great closer. So I was looking to see where they would go with closing the record this time around, and it definitely does not disappoint. Another song that, just very well does the, kind of build up, bring it back down, build it back up. Dynamically, there's a lot going on with the song, and once it gets to those really explosive choruses with the great riffs, Neil just, really putting it out there vocally. It makes for a really great closer once again. So yeah, overall, just another very solid release from Clutch, something I think you can always expect from the band. Very reliable as far as delivering some really great stuff, while certainly playing around with their sound a little bit. It's like what you can expect from Clutch, but at the same time, it's just a fun ride to hear where they go as far as all these differing influences, the more psychedelic stuff, the bluesy stuff, the southern rock, the funk-inspired type stuff, all the while providing some, fiery, explosive moments. So I'm feeling a strong 4 out of 5 for this album. Let me know what you think of the album in the comments if you've checked it out, whether I'm right, whether I'm wrong. As always, thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see y'all next time.